So spiritual activation, the opportunity of yoga, is the opportunity of looking at healing the disease of disconnect through the connected consciousness of oneness, every moment, every day. What would that look like for us? What would it look like to look at ourselves as holistic health practitioners? And that's actually what I tell people when they say, do you call yourself an activist? What do you call yourself? I'm like, well, I'm not so good with labels. But if you got to call me something, call me a holistic health practitioner. Because that's actually what I'm committed to. I'm actually committed to the best of my ability, bringing forth health, wellness, vitality, love, peace, joy, integrity, every moment of every day. I don't know how that works, but that's what I'm committed to. And then I allow that commitment to call me forward. Just like when I first began yoga, I actually began because I have a very intense physical challenge called hip dysplasia, which paralyzed me when I was 17. And when I first started yoga, I could not touch the floor. And I didn't know how I was ever going to get there. I just had this commitment to healing that all of a sudden, called me one day, and then I was touching the floor, and I was like, yo, look, I can touch the floor! And they're like, okay, great, Delia, you can touch the floor. But for me, that was huge, because with my hip dysplasia, it was hard enough to walk, let alone be able to bend over and touch the floor. But it was a commitment that called me into the space of the unknown. This idea of spiritual activation, allowing ourselves to be activated to the consciousness of oneness every moment of every day, invites us to grow and to be excited about the unknown, to see it as a treasure hunt. I'm going to go on this treasure hunt to uncover the greatness of my life, the greatness of who I am, the greatness of what is possible for me. People will come up to me and say, thank you, Julia, for living in that tree for 2 years. I never could have done that. And I always remind people, well, neither could have I. I did not plan on living in a tree for 2 years and 8 days, in case you were wondering. If I had seen what was coming, I never would have done it, right? It would have scared me way too much, because my mind would have said, that's not possible, I can't do that. The gift of yoga allows us to transform the confines of the mind to realize that we all are great beings of possibility. That the more we explore it, the more it opens up. The more it opens up, the more we offer it, the more it grows. That it's this growth process that happens as we are excited by what's next instead of afraid of what's next. And that's possible for us every moment of every day. To bring it full circle to a closure, when I was doing this tree sit, people started saying, you must have researched Gandhi. You sound a lot like Gandhi. You're doing this action like Gandhi. And I'd heard about Gandhi, and so I was overwhelmed and slightly honored to be compared to him. But more, I didn't actually know a lot about Gandhi. And people were saying, well, you're doing this great action of nonviolence. And even though I didn't know much about it, I didn't really like the word nonviolence. Because in my mind, I was like, why are we using 2 negative words to describe a really positive movement? And why are we choosing to define ourselves by what we were against instead of what we were for? And so nonviolent didn't quite work for me. And I'm not, downplaying that word and its importance in movement history, but I felt there was something deeper that ahimsa must truly mean. That ahimsa, if such a great movement could come from this concept called ahimsa, it had to be more than just 2 negative words that defined what they were against. I just knew there had to be more. So I asked people, send me books, send me whatever you got on Gandhi. I want to read it. Whether somebody else wrote it or he wrote it, I want to read it. And I was reading, and through my reading uncovered a more clear definition, description, container for what ahimsa is. And it's so much more empowering. That this definition that came through my reading is a clearer, more honoring way of ahimsa is to live so fully and presently in love that there is no room for anything else to exist. I love saying that because every time I do, I get goosebumps and I get present to our power as individuals and as a collective to make the difference we're committed to making. because it is actually a call to action that says, just like a fire needs oxygen to burn, if you take away the oxygen, there's no fire. Our world is on fire right now. This definition of ahimsa is actually a call for us to fill up our lives and the world around us with so much love that anything but love can't actually exist in the space with us. Wow! I mean, when I really get present, I'm like, what a way to live our lives. Am I there yet? Heck no. Am I committed to living it? Yes. Because if I'm so committed to living fully and presently in love, then it also means I can't be judging myself when I fall short of that. Because I do fall short of that. And my little inner critic, she is mean. And she's got an annoying voice. And she's just like, oh, look what you did now. She just gets all uppity. She's got a whole conversation about me and everybody else. Give her a second, she's just off. And so being so full, you're laughing. Some of you might have had a similar experience on an occasion or two. Being so fully and presently in love that there's no room for anything else to exist also has me continuously be doing that internal work that's necessary to do the external work in a healthy, holistic way. That day when our conversation between activists degraded and fell apart, I realized that part of the reason is we see something that's happening in the world, we care, it touches us deeply, and we go and we have to do something. But what we haven't done enough of is recognizing that that external wound is a mirror for that internal wound. And as we do in the work in the world, not one or the other, but as we do in the work in the world, we also need to be constantly doing the internal work of healing the woundedness within ourselves so that we bring our most healthy self forward. And knowing that some days are going to be better than others, and having grace for the journey, but also having a commitment to not running from or shutting down from or even plowing through the fear, the overwhelm, the anger, the frustration, but rather embracing it, breathing into it, and seeing what opens up for ourselves, and then seeing how we can then offer that in service to the world. And finally, I'll bring it to the practical. But first, I'm running out of water, so I'm going to take my lid off and just drink. Thanks. And I don't need a plastic cup, thank you. Because that's what I'm about to talk about, but thank you so much.